All right, so we're back into another video. This one is going to talk about the new Red Sin. And as the title would suggest, he is absolutely cracked and also good. Like literally in the literal sense, he is pretty much cracked. He's a very interesting archetype. He reminds me, well, basically Red Sin and as well as Gogeta is going to be competing with like the tier 1 of 8, set 18, basically for all the leaders. So if you look at all the leaders from Trunks to Yellow Goku, which is probably up there as well, and all the others, Red Sin and as well as Gogeta are probably the two that you should be looking at. And the reason for that is because they kind of remind me of U7 Goku. I think we're in a place of the game where we have a lot of really good archetypes, and what happens with that is that you pick one archetype, if you like it and then get really good at it, you're probably going to be able to win an event, or at the very least top with it. There are obviously other concerns and other decks that we will be looking out for, or should be looking out for, but it's kind of like the Wild West right now. We really don't know what's good when it comes to some of the Zenkai leaders and as well as the stuff that supports that, or Zenkai supports other and older decks, I should say. Either way, Red Sin is really good. That's all you really need to know. Just a quick reminder, if you do want to buy any of the set 18 stuff, definitely check out Mystics TCG, which is our channel sponsor, and as well as the TCG player link in the link below, or the description below for the link for any of the singles. Let's start with the leader real quick. So if you take a look at him, he starts as a ball. Look at that. He is also cracked. Look at that. It all comes together. And basically he is reminiscent of all the other wish leaders. And you don't really wish, you actually awaken here, which means you can play Heartfelt, which I don't, but you can if you really wanted to. It can attack, and basically you rest it, or you switch it to rest mode, and you get 2 Dragon Balls out of your deck and then add it to your hand, and then you can use those Dragon Balls to place in your Z energy, etc. And the cool thing is that it does say Dragon Balls. You don't really need to use the cracked Dragon Balls. It's just better for all intents and purposes because they go straight to your Z energy. The other part is that instead of 7, you do use 6, which is nice because you not only have the less chance to have them into your life, because they will be in your life at some point, even if you play 60 cards like I do, and you get to awaken earlier. So it's really cool like that. You have 4 or less, or if you have 6 or more Z energy, which basically with the Z, the cracked balls, they go to Z energy and you can use those balls to awaken. But it only says Z energy, so you can get like 4 balls and then combo off 2 and then go ahead and awaken. And the thing is that you don't draw, but your draw is on the backside, because you switch this card to active mode, and then you switch one of your energies to active mode, which is pretty good. I think that's really smart of Bandai to do, because I think this deck kind of accelerates its own awakening pretty quickly, especially with the archetypal cards that come with it. The backside is that you get to draw when you swing, and then you get to choose one of your Shadow Dragon battle cards, and one of their, or well, any battle card or unison, and it gets minus 15k for the turn, which is really cool, because what you could do is proc off some of the archetypal cards that you'll see in a second, and you'll also be able to remove markers that are really annoying. So let's say if you go against Gotenks, you can start chipping away those markers pretty quickly. And then the Z Awakened leader is that if your life is 3 or less, so if your opponent has 3 more energy, you get to place this guy on top and then pay the 7 Z energy afterwards. And basically you basically have to combo once, and it's pretty easy when you really get it down into it, especially if you have a cookie cutter deck like mine. If you swing, you draw, and then activate main is just like the front or the backside, but this time you get to choose one of your Shadow Dragons and one of their cards or unison, and gains minus 20k instead. This time you can choose to remove 6 Dragon Ball cards from your drop out of the game. And basically what happens is that when you Z Awaken, you use all of those Dragon Balls in your Z energy that you use to draw and awaken in order to play a red Shadow Dragon from your hand, which is pretty cool because that allows for future building and future cards to be supported, and as well as the triple striker that is really good. Then we have the cracked cracked cards, and then we also have Dragon Balls. I'm gonna stop using that joke. Cracked Dragon Balls, basically, it is like the old Dragon Balls, if those who weren't around for set 4, which is, I think it's the Miraculous, the Wish set, where you draw, you basically have an activate main for the card. The extra, you use the extra card and then it goes straight to draw. But this time you can use the extra card, you draw, and then it gets added to your Z energy from your drop. So basically, just like how you would for any extra card, it goes straight to drop, it goes straight to Z energy right after. If there's anything that has like a prevention where you can't add Z energy from your drop, this is going to be kind of annoying in the future, because I'm sure Bandai will print something that like that sometime or another to slow down Red Sin. That's just a guess. I have no idea. We have three of these guys. Basically, they're all the same, where they get reduced by 1. They're all 1 cost in your hand. Also 9Ks, which is also very important. They could have been 5Ks and been fine, but I think 9Ks is perfect, because if there are 10Ks, they would have been really good beaters throughout the game. Oceanus and Haze are pretty much the same thing, where you play it, you draw, and then you get to use or add one of the cracked Dragon Balls that we see here into your Z energy, and then you get to shuffle your deck. So basically, you're celebrating, like I said, all of your awakening things from there. The difference is that Oceanus can gain or give barrier to a red Shadow Dragon in your area when it's on the field, that is. Just make sure that you know that. But you need 3 or more energy, or your opponent needs 3 or more energy to do that. And then, of course, Haze does the same thing. It just gives it critical, which is really good, because we have these 1 cost red Shadow Dragons that we have, especially the one that has double striker, can remove something and can replace itself, that we'll look at in a second, and it gives it critical to its double strike. So it's really cool. Usually the barrier is made for the triple striker, which we'll again take a look at. The Shetron is the guy who looks at the top 5 and you get a red Shadow Dragon. I think he is pretty solid, because you can also get a red Unison with the energy cost of 2, which is why you pretty much use the Gogeta Unison. So I mean, it just all kind of works out. And I don't think I have it on these or this slide, but I think the red Gogeta Unison is pretty much the play. I don't think you really play anything else. You should play anything else, that is, because you're kind of doing a disservice by not playing the 2 costs and using those as 1 cost for free, because you're basically drawing and then shuffling your deck if you need to, which that Gogeta Unison bottom of deck's cards, and you can just shuffle afterwards. Anyway, so these guys here, if your opponent has 2 or more energy, basically you get to play these guys for 1 if you have 6 or more Z energy. Again, not the balls, but as long as you have Z energy that is 6 or more, then you're good. And what happens is that you pay these guys for 1, you swing with them, and then you use the auto effect with your leader, either Awakened or Z Awakened, where you can minus 15k this and something else shoots up too, so you don't really need something. The Nova draws 1 and the other gains critical for the turn. So basically it is dual attackers. They're dual attackers, and you get to proc off something if you really wanted to. If you wanted to play the Goku, where you minus something and you play for free, you can do that, because these are kind of like really cool combos with that. I just found that wasn't really needed, or at least there wasn't really room. There's so many things that the format and really upcoming formats call for, so you just kind of play your archetype and then play good cards, and that's kind of where we're probably going to end up, honestly. They also have Omega Shenron, and this guy is a 2 cost if your opponent, if you have 3 or more energy. I hate that they switch those around. So instead of the Oceanus having your opponent have 3 more energy, you have to actually have 3 more energy, which is fine, because this guy is a 0-5 and is an 8 cost, and you pay for 2, and also has Deflect and Triple Strike. So you basically just swinging 30k Triple Strike for 2 energy, which is just ridiculous. The permanent is cool, because you can use pretty much any of these cards that might minus something on your field, or your leader or Z leader, where you basically minus this guy. It gains 5k for the first time that you do it, and then you get to minus something on their end. So it's a 35k Triple Striker with Deflect, which is just wild. It is just nuts. I don't know if this is a 4 of. I still played at 3, and when I was playing at 4, I feel like I saw it too much, but I can understand if you play this as a 4 of. The activate battle is that you choose up to 1 of your battle, or 1 battle card, doesn't matter which one, or unison card against negative 3,000 for each of your Z energy. And if your leader card is a Z leader, you can choose one battle card unison and gains minus 30k. I always forget the second trigger. You always have to remember that, and as well as the Z leader effect, because basically you probably won't have much Z energy after you Z awaken because you're getting down 7. So the extra minus 30 is really clutch. So that way you can get rid of pretty much anything that doesn't have barrier and is not an ultimate. So it's pretty really useful that way. Finally, some other archetypal cards. I was talking about them before, or at least one of them, where the Shenron Dread Destroyer. This guy is a 1 cost for double strike. Basically, if you have 6 or more Z energy, you get to play it from your hand and you get to draw one. The fact that you draw one off this is silly, but I do understand that it is pretty much a dead card if you don't have Z energy. So just remember that this guy, the Nova, etc., you need to have Z energy to play them for 1. Otherwise, you're just going to be calming them off and then getting into that Z energy, or that 6 Z energy after that. But when you swing with this guy, you get to KO something from your field that is a red, or any shadow dragon really, and then you get to choose one battle card or unison and gains minus 20k power from there. So again, more unison hate, more removal is really good. And the fact of the matter is that it's really fine. It's fine if that you can get to KO one of your shadow dragons, because the Red Vegeta unison plays it out for free. So you play out the 2 costs for 1 afterwards, and then you get to minus 20k. The Rage Shenron is really cool because you get to have a free critical blocker. I wish this had barrier to make it even more broken, but it's a counterattack for limit 1. You get to play it for free if you are the awakened leader. So it's really cool, really good. And it's a 15k attacker for critical. And man, it's just so good. Minus energy Powerball. I played this at 1 now. I used to play at 2. I think 1 is fine. You can side in one other one. I just don't know what the side matchup would be, but it is pretty useful because it does hit all other battle cards for minus 10k. So if you know they're going to be swinging quite a lot, that's 2 cards of their hand that they have to commit to, or 2 cards that you don't have to commit to anymore. So minus energy ball, not too bad. It's just like the red Prison Frieza card that we had before. And just like I said, if we talked about the unison choice, I really do like the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Again, you would play it for 2, which is pretty much on curve. You're going to be awakening turn 2 pretty much all the time with the other cards that search your balls. Look at the top 3, get any red card and then bottom deck the other. And then the +2 being a 4 cost unison turn 2, and having that protection if you really need to awaken afterwards for that 1 energy, go ahead. And then play it in rest mode, and then now you have that 1 cost boy, the double striker to swing along with the critical boy that doesn't have that energy requirement. So you kind of see where these combos are. And then of course that -4 for 15k and double strike has come in very clutch for myself. Like it has been really good. And then of course rush attack Vegeta. So like if you aren't playing this at 4 in your Red Sin card, also if you don't have a playset of this guy, I would highly recommend, if you do get anything out of the set, there's a few cards that are like that, and I'll make a whole video for that. I would recommend to get a playset of these guys. I think these guys are very good. The Vegeta for 2 costs, 2 Z energy, I 100% recommend to pick them up, because what happens is that you play this for guy for 2. He is a deflect. You get to combo something, so it is automatically 20k, and then you get to minus something 15k. And then basically, because you are Sin, you have 4 more Z energy, not 4 more energy. You get to have double strike, 10k power, and barrier. So it's a 30k dual attacker, 30k for the second swing, barrier, and double striker for the turn. So I highly recommend to do that. If you have nothing to play at all, rush attack of Vegeta will always be there. The only downside is that you won't be able to use the cracked balls in order to pay for his costs. All right, so let's talk about the deck real quick. So again, pretty typical for any of these newer decks. I've said this before, where basically like you're always like these archetypal decks that are good. You're always going to be playing the archetype cards. Like if you stray away from that, you'll find out that there's consistency issues, and as well as you're not getting the most out of the leader, in my opinion. So you're going to be playing 4-4-3 for these guys, in my opinion. This guy is 4 instead of this guy being 3 because you draw off of it. You don't really need to see these too often, but it is nice to have a 1 cost or a Gogeta target, which is playing at 4. These SPRs are gorgeous. And then 3 of the triple striker, just like I was saying before. I think you should play these at 4. I think that should be moved to 4. That's just probably a last minute edit for me. 3 of the Yamchas, you're playing 60 cards, which effectively means you're playing 54 cards, and I think you don't really need to see the Yamchas too often, honestly. Because it just doesn't really affect too much anymore. Honestly, it sucks. But we do have the God Rare, because it's just the best red secret rare that you can play, just flat out. We have testing the opposition, because at a certain point you're going to need that defense, and also you want to get to 3 on your terms to Z Awaken. So testing opposition is really good for that. 1 of the Power Energy Ball, 3 Violent Lays, because it's so good in the upcoming set, just because of this deck, Gogeta, etc. It just makes sense to have more Violent Rains than not. Divine Presence is at 1, because you will have that time where these guys are pretty much useless, and this one's useless when you don't have Z energy after you Z awakened. So you're going to be calming them off, and then Divine Presence comes in. We do have the Galactic Explorers, because it's just good. Like, I've had this just as a plus marker, and it's just really good just later in the game to be like, okay, well, I have nothing in my hand, I might as well just play this from my unison and just go for it, especially since this guy gets to like 8 markers turn 3 or 4. 1 baby unison, because later on you just want that extra draw and a removal. That way you don't have to jump through hoops just to minus stuff and go through all that. And it's just baby unison, just really good. Just throwing in 1, I used to play 2, throwing in 1 is really good, because you end up playing, like, if it gets to like 5 or 6 energy, you're gonna be playing this, and it's just gonna be really good later in the game. Beerus is really cool. So I used to play the Raditz. The reason why you play Beerus is because you're awakening super early. If you don't have any balls in your life, they're going to be at 7 or 8, especially if you're going to be trying to combo out to get to your Z energy. Beerus basically says that everything in your deck, so you don't play any black cards, don't play anything else, is a 10k combo for itself, and you can use that at any point. So the yellow is minus 5k for one of the cards in rest. It's not really worth, honestly, to play any yellow. Crown of Retribution for blue, and I'm sure for really any other matchup, it's free with the Gogeta, etc. 1 of the Champas, it's Champa, and 1 new ruler. Basically the same cards I was talking about in the Z deck. This should be at 2, actually. I forgot to put 1 more for 7. But the Defender of Life is just it's just burn on a stick, which is just silly when you really think about it. The only thing is the high cost of 3, so you're not going to be playing it too often, because you're doing 7 for the Z leader and 2 for the Vegetas, and it just kind of adds up over time. So I think Defender of Life is just really good for any red deck. Like these guys, these 2 are going to be definitely some chase cards for sure. All right, that is it. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I think I have 1 or 2 more decks, archetypes, etc. that I might do. I might put 1 more poll in the comments, or the community poll, whatever it is, the community post. So let me know what you think. Let me know what your list is in Discord if you can't post it here on YouTube, because I know it does it automatically where it doesn't go. And yeah,